Hello everyone and welcome to AML UAE's YouTube channel. Today we are starting a brand new series called Know Your Compliance with an AML expert, where we discuss all things AML compliance. In our first episode, we'll be covering the 5 things that every business or entity should know before entering the world of AML compliance. Joining us today, we have Ms. Dipali Vora. She is a certified AML specialist and a company secretary, holding over 8 years of experience in AML compliance, where she has worked with clients ranging across multiple countries. We welcome you, Dipali.
Thank you so much, Yashvi, for this wonderful introduction, and it's pleasure being here and discussing this with you.
It's a pleasure for us too, Dipali. So let me give you a brief idea of what we are trying to achieve here. There are many businesses who are trying to understand the field of AML compliance, but they don't know where to start or how to start. And this is where we are trying to answer their questions. So, for any business who is just starting out, the first question that should come to our mind is, what is AML compliance and why does it matter?
Okay, so to answer you this question, I will first start with why does it matter? Money laundering, financing of terrorism is a global concern, and governments are trying to combat financial crimes by making sure that proper rules and regulations are implemented. Criminals are increasing day by day. The ways and methods in which they are exploiting the countries as a whole or businesses is also increasing day by day. So, of course, looking at this thing, it's important that the companies which are there, they comply with AML regulations. Now, what exactly is AML compliance? AML compliance is basically aimed at to make sure that the impact of money laundering, financing of terrorism is countered by taking appropriate mitigation measures. That would include registration on GoML portal or the respective financial intelligence unit which is formed in that particular country. In UAE, we have UAE FIU, where all of the reportings with respect to suspicious activities, suspicious transactions, some sector specific reports are filed. Also, transactions with high risk countries, cross border transactions, that is also reported. So, adherence to AML laws will help to prevent money laundering activities or basically just minimize the exposure and its impact that could be done to the businesses which are operating in United Arab Emirates.
You've beautifully answered the question, Dipali. Um, so, for example, if I am a business entity who is just starting out, I obviously want to fight all these crimes and I want to protect my business. But I should be able to know whether I'm even required to perform all of these AML compliance functions or not. So, if you could throw some light on what are the entities or businesses that are required to perform AML functions in UAE, that would be great.
Okay, so to answer this, initially when this rules and regulations came into force, it was only applicable to the financial institutions, which included banks, insurance companies, brokers, who were basically belonging to financial sector. Later on, the applicability was expanded to the DNFBP segment, that is designated non-financial businesses and professionals. Now, in this definition, now specifically talking about United Arab Emirates, that includes 5 industries. That is real estate agents and brokers, dealers in precious metals and stones, then auditors and accountants, corporate service providers, and last is lawyers and independent professionals. So these were the 5 specific industries which were covered under the definition of DNFBP. Now, just throwing some light, in other countries, the definition of DNFBP may differ. Okay, so maybe in some countries, the industry where high-end luxury goods are there, even that industry would come under the AML purview, or even the one who are into luxurious car dealers, even they would come into the purview of AML law. But in UAE, we just have 5 industries which come under the definition of DNFBP. Apart from that, recently, even virtual asset service providers were added, in the basket of the applicability of AML-CFT law. So it's to sum up, it's financial institutions, DNFBPs, and VASP. These are the 3 types of industries which are, covered under the definition of, I would say, to which the AML-CFT law is applicable currently.
Got it. Thank you so much for explaining that so wonderfully. But again, I fail to understand why do businesses need to worry about AML compliance? Why is it such a big deal?
So, as I said in your first question, when you inquired, you asked about that, why does it matter? So, I did tell you that, crimes are increasing. The ways and means in which funds are being laundered or, terrorism financing is increased. Even now, the concept of proliferation financing has come up. So, now when I look at the impact of this, see, the law says that if you don't comply with the, don't comply with the law, the penalty is ranging between AED 50,000 to AED maybe some 10 lakh. Now, this is just the fine and penalty that you might face because of non-compliance. But if you look at the damage, that a company would go through, or any industry, not specifically industry, but a company to which AML compliance is applicable, and if they don't comply, so the damage that will cause to that company is even more than the penalties. It can't be quantified. Reputation damage, it will affect the business. And moreover, if AML compliance is not done or proper checks are not done, there is a possibility that our company, our business could be acting as a vehicle where we are supporting those activities. So ultimately, fines and penalties, let's put that aside. But the damage that it will cause, that is even more. So I think that is, that should be the main reason that why businesses should comply with AML regulations.
You're absolutely right on that. If I am a business, I would never want to go through all that hassle. But again, the next question that comes to my mind is that if I'm a business who has to perform all these AML compliance functions, which regulatory authorities are guiding me towards performing these functions? Who sets the rules?
So basically, the Central Bank of United Arab Emirates, that is CBUA, is responsible for drafting and regulating anti-money laundering regulations in UAE. The CBUA's anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism, that is AMLD department, is responsible for the AML matters. Now, apart from that, there are various supervisory authorities also, like Ministry of Economy, then SCA, ADGM. So, depending upon where the company is belonging to, the supervisory authority will be decided, and that becomes the authority where they report. But the drafting and regulating remains with CBOE.
Okay. I think I've understood all the things that I need to know in theory. But if I, as a business, want to start AML compliance, where should I begin with? Is there a roadmap that I need to follow when performing an AML compliance?
Yes, of course. So, any company who, first they need to identify that whether they are, providing any services, or they are into any kind of dealing of the products which come under the AML, AML purview. So that is the first thing that they should identify. Once they've identified and that they know that they come under maybe the FI category or DNFBP category or VASP category, the next step is, I mean, creating a login, registering on GoML portal, appointment of a compliance officer, and then having your policies and procedures being drafted. Now, there is this one very, very informative infographic which is available on our website also. If you want, I'll share the link with you, which beautifully explains that how the process goes. Like you are a DNFPB, you register, then you draft, you conduct enterprise-wide risk assessment. Now, to elaborate on EWRA, so EWRA is basically where we identify our company risk. That's all on the basis of risk-based approach. So the underlying, element, I would say, under the law is RBA. So wherever there are more risk, more controls have to be put in place. So if it's a new business, we must of course have certain business plan in mind, and on the basis of that, we assess our company risk, draft our policies accordingly, and then start to implement them. So that's how the initial roadmap is. But yes, over in when you start business, then KYC, screening, risk assessment, that all would be added. So that is very well explained in our infographic, and I would love to share that with you, which you can share it with your viewers also.
Absolutely. We'll be sure to put the link in the description box below. Uh, Now that I know what I need to do, Do I have a certain timeline in mind? Should I be worried that I need to perform certain functions within a specified period? Should everything be done on an ongoing basis, or is it just a one-time process?
Now, answering your this question, of course, I mean, this is an ongoing process. See, complying with the rules and regulations, it's not something which is one time. Okay. So we have to comply this on a regular basis. Maybe if the policies are drafted, we might, re-review them on an annual basis, or KYCs that we do, the customers that we onboard, their re-review should also be done, re-KYC should also be done. The documents that we have, that should also be reviewed on an annual basis. We may set that rules accordingly. As I said in your earlier question, when you inquired about what is the roadmap, so I explained what is EWRA, that is enterprise wide risk assessment. So yeah, it's all on the basis of the RBA, the risk based approach, and how well you've calculated the risk of your organization, and accordingly the timelines you can set it for your organizations. But the law does stress upon certain timelines, like certain things that to be done on an annual basis, like audit, re-review of the policies, procedures, risk assessment. So yeah, this is an ongoing process. It's not something which is just it's done and then you just tick the box. It's not that. It's an ongoing process.
Thank you so much, Dipali. That was wonderful. You answered all the questions in such detail. It was extremely insightful, and I think our viewers will also agree. So, for our viewers, if you have a question or query related to AML compliance, you can post them at www.amlfaqs.com. We'll take up those questions in our upcoming episode and get them answered by an AML expert. Until then, you can like this video, share it with your friends or colleagues who are new to the field of AML compliance, and subscribe to AML UAE's YouTube channel. And stay tuned with us for more such AML related content.